Mickey 17 is the brand new film from director Joon-ho, his first since the Best Picture winning Parasite, and I would be lying if I didn't say that I was a bit excited for this film. Mickey 17 was one of my most anticipated films of the entire year, and thankfully now having seen the film, it didn't disappoint. Bong Joon-ho has very quickly become one of my favourite filmmakers working today. Whether it's his English language films or his Korean language films, the guy does not miss. And the fact that he now has a new film which features incredible actors like Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, and especially Robert Pattinson, I was incredibly excited for this film. And having seen the film a few days early, thanks to the brilliant people at Warner Brothers, I can thankfully say that Bong Joon-ho has delivered us yet another great movie. Starting off with the positives, I just really enjoyed the tone and vibe of the film in general. The film is very clearly, from the word go, a dark comedy that happens to be a sci-fi film. And it really doubles down on that dark comedy aspect in a lot of different areas, to the point where it can be a bit much at times, but personally, I had an absolute blast with that aspect of the film. And the fact that it doesn't take itself that seriously either, I think allows it to have fun with its initial premise. And that alone sold me instantly. I think one of the other driving factors of this film is the performances across the board. Robert Pattinson is incredible in this film, who is doing double duty in this film, playing two different versions of Mickey. And rather than just playing the same guy twice, he adds specific personality traits to both versions of Mickey, making them each distinguishable from the other. And I really like the fact that he did that and commits to that. And again, the fact that he's playing off of himself in a lot of these scenes, you can hardly tell that it's him working against himself. It feels like there's two separate actors in the room, and that just goes to show how versatile of an actor he is. But on top of that, you have a supporting cast who are also working on top form. You've got Naomi Aki, who is very fiery in her role, and she really does bring a lot of intensity to her role in some of those climactic scenes towards the end of the film. And then you have Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, who are possibly the most over-the-top characters in the film. And I feel like if the tone of the movie had gone in a different direction, but they had stayed the same, they would have felt a bit out of place. But because there is a little bit of an over-the-topness to this film, and the fact that it doesn't take itself that seriously anyway and has fun with its premise, these two characters kind of just fit in really perfectly, and Mark Ruffalo looks like he's having an absolute blast in this role, who is obviously supposed to be parodying a certain person in power at the moment, but I'll let you figure those similarities out yourself when you see the film. Now, there's one thing I've noticed about Bong Joon-ho's directing style, and the fact that it changes depending on what language the film is in. And I've not really seen that with many other directors, especially ones who are not necessarily English, and then they transition into English film. Their style mostly just stays the same, or there are ever so slight changes here and there. Bong Joon-ho, on the other hand, and what I'm about to say is not necessarily a bad thing, it's just something I've noticed, is the fact that whenever he directs a film in his native language of Korea, there is a lot more meticulousness to the approach, and there is, themes and messages, but they're a lot more hidden. You kind of have to analyse the film, and there's a lot more subtext, and there's a lot more to read into, basically. However, with the 3 English language films he's made, Snowpiercer, Okja, and now Mickey 17, those messages and themes are still there, but now they're just right in front of your face and a lot more obvious. And I'm not quite sure why his style changes in this way. Again, it's something I've noticed, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it personally works for those films because they're all sci-fi films and they're all deliberately a little bit over the top. I think The one that is least affected is Snowpiercer, because that's like a perfect balance of sometimes going over the top and then sometimes being a bit more nuanced, whereas Okja and now Mickey 17 feel like more extreme versions of that style that we got in Snowpiercer. It's just strange that that approach exists, because if you look at something like Memories of Murder or Parasite, there is so much to digest in every single image of those films, and there is a lot more subtlety and subtext and meaning to just take out of everything happening that isn't necessarily obvious on first watch. It's something that you kind of think about afterwards and then it sinks in. Mickey 17, on the other hand, what it's trying to say is made very abundantly clear, and at times it can be a little bit of a detriment to the film, to the point where it's kind of smacking you over the head with what it's trying to say as a message. But then there are other times where it handles it in a very upfront manner that is also working with the sort of dark comedy aspect and therefore not taking itself too seriously. So there are times in Mickey 17 where it does work, and there are other times, on the rare occurrence, where it can feel a bit too much. With that being said though, besides that one issue, this film is an absolute blast. It's fun and bonkers in all the typical ways you would expect a Bong Joon-ho film to be, and I wouldn't want it any other way. The performances are all fantastic, the film looks stunning, the score is fantastic, and yeah, if you get a chance, I cannot recommend this film enough. I think it is a bit of a downgrade from, going from something like Parasite, which was this event, and rightfully so, that film is a masterpiece. But then coming down to something like Mickey 17, it can feel a bit underwhelming. But that being said, Parasite was such a high bar, I think no matter what he made after that would be a bit of a struggle. But with that being said, Mickey 17 is still a fun film, regardless. If you've seen Mickey 17, let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and also just let me know what your favourite Bong Joon-ho film is, because I just want to have that discussion in the comments. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.